Right, on the standard forward controls, this is the other end of the brake line, and it's obviously it's a hard line, but it's shaped to come round and connects onto the front edge of the master cylinder. But on the new forwards I've got, it's on the side, the connection, so this won't fit. So I've bought a braided one that'll, obviously it's straight so it'll fit, and it's just a standard Harley one, stainless braided, that I come across on eBay, so I thought I'll have that. It takes all standard fittings for putting the brake light switch in. Comes with gaskets, cable ties if you want to use them, new bracket for mounting it properly, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the old line off, which means I'll have to feed this end, get out of it, feed this end back through the frame, which comes out down there, down to the, like it's a bit of a junction box thing there with the brake light switch on it, and then it runs along the frame to the front. So I'm just going to take that off. You won't be able to see properly because of where I can't really put the camera anywhere for you to see, so I'll just knock it off for now and I'll take this off. I'll come back soon. Right, one thing I want to show you, just in there, that's a clip that's on there. It's actually welded to the frame. If I can just get that to go back on, that brake line sits underneath it. So basically just get a screwdriver, lever that up, and then the brake line will just drop out. I've already unbolted it from its bracket there on the back, and I've unplugged the brake light switch. So now I can just pull this whole brake line out. See, that's it. So now you can see better that that's a hard line. It comes all the way as a hard line right to the back to where the bit of a junction box thing is there. That brake light switch needs to come out of there, and then you've got your flexi line which goes up to the end, it bolts into your caliper. So, but that's off for now, so I'll get this other one sorted and pulled out properly, and then I'll come back. Right, I've got the new cable sort of through. It's not fastened in or anything yet, blocks there, line running through to the front. I need to put that in the frame, in the clip. But I've also took off the old brake light switch and give it a clean up. Just need to put a bit of PTFE tape in on the threads, and then I can screw that into the block at the front, and then I'll get it all put in, like bolted back on its bracket there. I'll see if I can do this and not the camera. The bracket, it just goes, it's got a locating pin, lost it, there you go. It's got a locating pin on the back there, you can just see it hitting the back of the bracket. That goes in its hole. Oh, there it is, gone in. And then it just bolts on, so it's as straightforward as that. And then obviously the brake light switch goes in the front of there, and then wiring that you can just see there goes onto the brake light switch. So I'll get that done, then I'll come back and we'll get it connected up onto the brake, and then I think what we're going to do, we're going to start fitting the forward controls so they can then get the other end of the brake line fitted up. So I'll get this sorted and then I'll be back. Right, it's getting a bit carried away here. I've got the banjo bolt in on the caliper, but I haven't tightened it up yet. Obviously, as you can see there, it's still loose. Once it gets to where I want it, I'll be cable tying that in position down there. It comes up through and obviously down. I've got the thing on and connected back up with the wiring, etc., and that's tightened up in there, the usual sort of stuff. So it's just a case of tightening this banjo bolt up for now. I'll try and get this without the camera going too far off. I want it up, but I don't want it tight yet, because I want to be able to keep moving that for when I cable tie this and I'm happy that everything's in the right place, then I'll tighten that up properly. So just give it a little bit more of a, yeah, it's still, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll get a cable tie on here, hold that in place, tighten that up, and then when I come back we'll be at the front end of the bike, and I'm going to start putting the forward controls back on. The new forward controls on, should I say. So I'll be back soon. Right, just following on from where I left off in the last clip. To be fair, it's been a couple of days since I was fitted this brake line. So I said I was going to put a cable tie around the swing arm bit there, so that's that done. I can't even remember whether I've tightened that up yet. No, that's still loose. I still need to tighten that up. That's tight. Obviously the cable's in, sorry, the pipe brake line is in its bracket there, and it's just hanging off at the front. So what we're going to do now is I'll just knock you off for a second or two, and set you up, and we'll start putting the forward controls on this side. So I'll just knock you off for a sec, back in a minute. Right, now then, I hope you can see that on the camera. Just zoom in a bit. What you've got here is the three bolt holes, should I say, for where the forward controls bolt to. So I'll just zoom you back out a bit. Now, I don't know if you'll remember, anyone who's watched the earlier videos, the bike's obviously got a wider back end. One side, the primary side, has been spaced out by an inch to compensate for the back wheel, and these pipes have been bent out. Well, not bent, but they're out so that they'll clear the back wheel as well. So the exhaust will clear the back wheel, should I say. But when I rode the bike, the foot pegs that were on it, the standard forwards, well, I don't know if they were standard or not, but the ones that were on it were just bolted into the standard position, and it was very close, and to be fair, it was a pain in the arse. Plus, I'm not a big lover of them heel pads. You know, don't get me wrong, that's just my opinion. I've seen bikes with them on and they look shit out like, but it's just, I don't like them. I don't mean I don't like the look of them, I just don't like them for my feet. I like to be able to move my feet around and not have something hindering where I can put it. So I prefer not to have heel pads on mine. But what I've done with the new forwards, I've made spacers to space the forwards out an inch on each side. So then in a sense, your feet are like, although they are an inch wider on each side, well, your feet aren't an inch wider, but the pegs are, it sits your leg out an inch away from the pipe more than what it was, and the same on the other side. When I was riding it back, I kept hitting the primary cover with my heel, because it was that close. So anyways, enough of the talking, let's get some stuff put on. So, right, what we've got here is the brake pedal, which is going to bolt on like there, but an inch out, which I'll do in a minute, and then the master cylinder bolts on that bit there. There's a little clevis pin, not a clevis pin, like the little rod that goes into the master cylinder that goes on here. Brake line comes up and it goes on the back of the reservoir. So what I need to do is get my Loctite, which I haven't got out. So I'm just going to knock it off for a second and I'll get my Loctite and then I'll come back. Right, got my Loctite, medium strength, not high, and there won't be a lot of it going on, it's just to make sure that it all obviously doesn't come loose. So what I'll do is I'll thread these bolts and get the spacers on the back. Now on the bottom, if you can see this here, when it's on you can't get the standard bolt won't go in the, it does go in the hole, as you can see there, but the head of it's catching on that bit there. So what I've had to do is grind the edge of the bolt off. So it's making it smaller, but what it means is move there. It actually goes, I'll do that again seeing as I lifted it up and you probably didn't see it. It actually goes in, it goes all the way through, so it just misses this bit here on the brake lever. So I'll get the other two through. Put spacers on. Now the spacers are made, they're just stainless steel, polished up a bit, and it sits on, spaces it out an inch, which is what I want. Get the right size Allen key. I'm just going to start them in because I know what I haven't done. I haven't put the Loctite on. So I'm just going to put them on a couple of threads. In fact, I'm not going to put that one on at all. Remove that. And I'll start with that one. Put some Loctite on it. Just a little dab, a little drop. That's all you need. So, get the spacer in, and I'll feed the bolt in. Right, I'll do the next bottom one, and hopefully, because I've nipped that other one up, the spacer won't fall out. Right, again, just a drop of the blue. And then same on this top one. Right, so give it a final tighten up. Right, so that's the plate bolted nice and securely and tight and Loctited in place. So the next thing I'll put on is the reservoir. Now, one thing that I mustn't forget, because of that bit there, I've got to lift that up to put the reservoir in, because otherwise it hits the bottom of the reservoir. I noticed that when I was putting them together out of the box. So, get my reservoir, which is quite a neat bit of kit. So, put that up out of the way. I'm confused now. Oh, I see. I was thinking to myself, how does that fasten? It hasn't got a hole. It hasn't got threads in it yet. It comes through from the back. Oh, blocking your view there. That goes in the back and through, and then obviously the reservoir goes on, and then there's another bolt that goes in, which when I put it in properly I'll put some Loctite on it, and that obviously bolts it in place. I've just realised that's where the peg bolts on. So I'll just sort this one first. I'll put the, I'll make sure that that doesn't drop. Just put a little bit of blue on there. Right, through the back, move it about a bit till you find the hole. Sounds a bit rude. That's it. Right, before I nip that one off, I'm going to put a dab of Loctite on this. Put the lid on that for now, and I'll put the foot peg on. Wrong way. Nuts. Actually, that's wrong fucking size as well. Might have to actually tighten that with my hands anyways. Right, that ain't coming loose, I can guarantee that. But I will tighten this other one up. Right, the next step obviously is to put the plunger back in, which will then hold the brake lever in place, so instead of it just waggling about. So, oh, got some washers and stuff falling off. Put them down there a sec. The plunger. Right, so I know I'm blocking your views in here for a second, but I just need to get this washer on because it sits on the inside. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I didn't want to have happen. I've just dropped the washer. You can't just fall where you can see them, they have to go underneath something, don't they, where you can't see them. Yeah. Right, just give us a sec, I'll knock you off while I find this washer. Back in a minute. Right. Got my washers sorted. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, I don't think you can actually see that anyways from where I'm stood. So I'm just going to get this in and try not to drop the washer this time. Because that took freaking ages to find the fucker. The only problem when you've got big hands, struggle to get into the little screw at the back. But I didn't drop it this time, which is cool. I'll tell you what I didn't do neither. Didn't put any Loctite on that. So what I'll do is I'll just put a tiny drop up the bolt hole so it screws into it. I've just screwed it back out a little bit. So into the hole, just a drop, and then screw it back in. I'm starting to wish that I hadn't put the Loctite on that. The reason being, I've just noticed that the bolt has come right through. Now whether it's meant to have a nut on, I can't remember taking one off, but I'll have a bit of a skim about and see if I can find one to go over it, which will tidy it up. If not, I'll take this back out and put a short bolt on, but I will tighten it up still for now, just so it's tight. Because if I don't tighten it and I find a bolt that goes over it, there's a chance it'll come loose. So that's that bit sorted. And now the, let's see, just there, yeah, that just bolts onto the reservoir just there, the brake line. So I'll get a couple of the these are the new style brake, like washer stroke gasket type things with the seal in the middle rather than just a copper washer. So the bolt on, that through the washer on. Obviously you don't put Loctite on the banjo bolt. Right, I'm back. Not 100% happy with this. That's the, obviously that's the rod that I've just put in. Allen key comes in from that end, Allen bolt should I say. And I think there's meant to be a nut on the end of there if I remember rightly, but I don't like that. I'm either going to turn it round so that the Allen head's on this side and put a Loctite nut onto the back, or I find a shorter bolt that won't stick through because that looks fucking untidy. So, right, I'm just going to knock you off a minute and have a bit of a think about this, because I think I'm going to just take it out and turn it round, Loctite a nut on the back. I'll be back in a sec. Right, I'll take you off here a sec. Right, I've done it, I've turned it round. I've put the nut on the back, Loctited that. I actually put some high strength Loctite on that nut. I've also put some medium strength Loctite just for in here, where that's screwed through from this side. So that's the Allen head one. So, and that looks loads fucking better. So now all I've got to do is just tighten that banjo bolt up. So I'll just put you back on stand. I'll be back in a sec. Right, let's say it's just a case of nip this banjo bolt up. I just want to make sure it's there. Just want to keep it in line sort of thing, so that when I... Right, that's that, and I'll put a cable tie down on the frame under here, just to hold it in place, stop it waggling about. So, that is the brake side, full control on, and all snug and tight. So I think what we'll do now is I'll knock it off, and we'll go to the other side, and we'll start getting the gear shift side put on. So, right, knock you off for now, back in a minute. Right, that's what the brake setup looks like from the side. Obviously the peg and the brake pedal. So looking tidy. Quite impressed with them, with these forwards. Yeah, so I think what we'll do now, I've probably already said it in the last clip. I went into the house to get a drink after the last clip, so I don't know what I've said without looking back on it. But I'm going to go around and do the other side, and then we'll go from there. There might also be a change of bike on the videos as well, because I've bought some heated grips and some chrome handlebar control parts like switch covers and things like that for the girlfriend's bike, so I'll have that to do. So yeah, might have a change of bike soon, but then just get cracked on with this. The difference is, if I do her bike, it gets it done and she can get out on it if the weather's decent. This, it doesn't matter if this isn't on the road straight away, because I've got my electric light to use, so it's not a problem. But hopefully this will be done before riding weather starts anyways. So right, I'll knock you off and we'll get onto the other side and get the other side forwards put on. Right, back in a minute.